they say all men are created equal. Shot! Master! I'll pull out the Glock! Full of suffering, succotash, son!
It's one of your nuts hanging out of your shorts.
Real glass!
You have a father, but your father's dead.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Too Sweet with Lucy and Estelle. And we're back again with another Dynamite review this week. So we have Revolution coming up in 10, 11 days next weekend. So we're not
Mother's Day in the UK.
It is on Mother's Day.
That's when it's on.
Treat your mother to a pay-per-view. I'm sure she will love it. Best gift ever. So yeah, we're not on the go home show yet, but we're getting there. So things are heating up a bit. Before we get into that, I wanna there's some we're gonna take the tone down a little bit before we get into Dynamite, a little bit of a downer. So just perhaps a trigger warning for this part. But British wrestling's having a like sort of like a mini speaking out moment again. So I'm sure everyone listening to this podcast is aware of speaking out that happened in 2020, when a lot of abusers and toxic people were outed in wrestling, and certain things have happened this past week in British wrestling where quite a few people are being sort of outed again, and some stories are coming to light which are not pleasant. So I'm not going to go into detail because I don't really think that, to be fair, I couldn't do it justice without spending ages talking about them, and it's not really fair to sort of only scratch the surface on these things, but if you want to find out more, it's to do with the LWF and top rope wrestling. So I'll give you that information so you can go out and find more if you like. But essentially, I just wanted to touch on this because I think, one, it's important to show that, like, even past, like, we're 6 years out from speaking out now, but the time is never wrong. If there's toxic behavior going on, I think the scene has shown this week that people will still get behind people when they speak out, and bullshit has an expiry date. These people think they can get away with being bullies, sexually harassing people, just having toxic training environments, and at the end of the day, this community is not going to stand for it. And what I really wanted to say was, if you want to be a wrestler, or you know someone who's looking into training schools, please do some really good research, because there are a lot of really shit training schools out there in terms of, like, safety and quality. So
I mean, I always think back to, like, sorry, just jump in, but little
No, go
teenage
ahead.
preteen me, there was a wrestling school in Leeds, and there was a trainer who trained it was the beginning training course. It was Lucha Libre as well, which was like a really exciting, enticing style, and that's it was for the beginners and for the younger people involved in this training school. And I didn't actually, spoiler alert, I never went to go train to become a wrestler, but I went to kickboxing, and my plan was to do that for a bit and then go to this training school, and I never actually did. And then it turned out that particular trainer ended up being a nonce, and he was grooming people that he was training.
I think I
So
know
that
who you're
always
talking
sticks with
about.
me. Yeah, that always sticks with me, because, like, yeah, it's like saying, like, do your research, look out for people. Obviously, I was a child, so, like, if you know people want to become wrestlers, and just, yeah, things like that, having that awareness and asking those questions, because, yeah, you really do not,
Yeah, it
like,
makes
what?
me grateful but also upset to think that you, I guess, sort of avoided that person. And
Yeah,
obviously a lot of people didn't, and it's very sad, it's very upsetting. But
yeah,
we're in a better position now, but there still are people out there who try and, literally, that person who you're talking about, try and bring them in, try and sneak them into shows. And it's when the boys in the back, and I say boys like in a gender neutral term, band together to bring everyone together and sort of say, no, that's not okay. And I feel like there is more of that. I'm not trying to discourage people from, if you want to get involved in wrestling or being a wrestling fan, or you think you want to get involved backstage or you want to train to be a wrestler, I'm not trying to discourage you. There's so many great wrestling schools out there. I mean, I'll name some to try and be helpful because I know that being vague isn't helpful. Um, Future Shock, Claw, Pursuit Pro Wrestling, New Wave Academy, that's in Wales. They're the top four that I can think of off the top of my head. There's a lot more than that, and there's a lot more information out there if you go and look for it. But like, if you can find out the name of the head trainer, just like Google them, read up on it, like search on social media, even search with the hashtag speaking out just in case. It doesn't harm to do your due diligence and just try and figure out it is something reputable or not. But yeah, it's a hard one, and I don't know. I don't think the scene is ever going to solve the problem because it's an unregulated industry, and that's a whole nother can of worms to be opened. But this is a good thing that it happens, that people feel like now more empowered to speak out about these things. But I guess my message is do your research and believe victims. That's essentially it. Do you have anything to add on that?
No, I think that you perfectly surmised it.
Yeah.
Um,
It's again, like I
yeah,
said, not trying to discourage people. It's a really nice scene, and when I truly, I feel like I belong in British wrestling. I've always been made to feel welcome. I've never been made to feel unsafe. I'm very lucky that I've been surrounded by good people, and there is a lot of good people. There's a lot more good people than bad, and we're
yeah.
working together to push the bad people out.
I think that's the thing though, isn't it? Wrestling's unregulated. Wrestling's such like a chance. Like I say, my could have been experiences. It's like tossing a coin up. You don't know what side you're going to get. And like I say, it's hoped that people are going to be pushed out, and it's hoped that, and that's positive, and that sets a precedent for this isn't going to be tolerated. These types of people won't be tolerated in this space. But it's it's difficult, and there is a degree of vulnerability there, especially for children, for women who are looking to join. Um, yeah, so it's just about being wary, having your wits about you, and when things like this come out to speak up. And I think, a couple of weeks ago, when we came back on our comeback episode, we talked about Marty Skrull, who was a part of the British wrestling scene, and his what he'd been up to and all that, and then Hangman obviously posting him, which was why we talked about it extensively on the podcast, given that he is, the most valid number one contender for the world title of the company that we talk about on this
Yeah.
podcast. So yeah, I think it just all interlinks, and you could talk about it extensively. You could talk about it up to Vince McMahon, you could talk about it up to Donald Trump, you could talk about it up to Epstein, you could talk about it patriarchy in general. You could rip it
Yes,
apart shreds, but yeah,
exactly.
it's something that yeah, unfortunately is just a part of the scene. And it's like, again, that's a bit of a double-sided coin, because on one side of the coin it's discouraging, and especially for us, but more so yourself, who is the most involved in the wrestling side in particular within that industry. It's discouraging as a woman, like, do I feel comfortable having a place, having a voice here? But then on the flip side, when these awful things come to light, and you see the posts, and you see the love in the comments, and you see the the good side of that, of people lifting each other up and speaking out, as the movement is named, and not tolerating that, then that also is affirming of like, oh, there is a place, there is hope, we are building a new space. And those two things I think can be true at once.
Yeah, absolutely. You're so right. Yeah, that's spot on. Well, I think we've covered that.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, let's talk about something a bit more happy and a bit more light and what we're here to talk about, which is Dynamite. So we'll jump into the review. Um, it started off a little bit awkwardly. There was some technical issues. Sorry if you just heard my dog barking in the background, by the way. Um, he's obviously feeling very passionate about Dynamite. So there was some technical issues. I don't know if you had this, if you noticed this, but Excalibur like introduced the video package and then it didn't play, and it was just like, oh, are we starting? Are we not? But anyway, he was introducing basically a video package which was explaining why MJF versus Kevin Knight was happening.
Yeah, he opened Collision. He stormed out. Um, and yeah, he called out Kevin Knight, and they had a really compelling promo on Collision. Kevin Knight is interesting because he just has raw talent and raw charisma, and in that promo in particular, which I think they might show just like clips of on Wednesday, it was interesting because he's just to me, he kind of has the aura that Hook, I think, wishes he kind of had. Although I am growing to like this new Hook, and I did find him quite compelling on this show. But kind of what Hook was going before of being a bit not nonchalant. 'Cause I wouldn't describe Kevin Knight as nonchalant, but just like effortlessly kind of cool and keeping his cool and having that kind of aura. And it wasn't like the best promo ever, but it was like you could see that raw potential. You could really see that. So yeah, and it makes sense. It's what we were kind of theorizing that this is why like it's pretty obvious. This is why he's been showcased so heavily, pushed so heavily. Um, it's because they want to run this MJF program. So yeah, Collision this week was pretty good. Collision recently has been pretty good. I have been since I've come back on the podcast trying to watch it more. And I think it definitely added to this dynamite because also like the Pro Okada stuff. Um it Ciampa had a great match with Jay Lethal on there. It was definitely like the missing piece of the puzzle for Dynamite. We also got Yuta's bald head reveal on
Oh my
Collision
God, I saw
before
clips of
Dynamite.
it.
Yeah, which is very comedic because his hat was just like yanked off him, and he was like, but no, um, yeah. So obviously that they showed that again on Dynamite to give the viewers that insight if they hadn't watched it.
Yes, like myself, I did not watch Collision, so I was nicely caught up on that. But I was so interested to know what you think about this, but I found this a bit confusing. I felt sorry for Kevin Knight because I agree with what you say about him being a star and deserving of a shot, 100%. But like, I was like, what are we doing here? Because we're building really, really heavily to MJF versus Hangman, but now we're doing a diversion. We're like, well, that match might not be going ahead. Kevin Knight might beat MJF, and I'm like, no, he's not going to though. It just felt like it was thrown at me like a swerve just out of nowhere, and I was a bit like, I'm not really sure if I care for this because I I cannot suspend my disbelief at all. I do not.
Really?
Yeah.
I think like I personally found the opposite. I found it quite like exciting and quite thrilling. But I think I'm quite high on Kevin Knight and Jet Speed in general. And then also the MJF Hangman thing is just really not doing it for me for various
True.
reasons. Like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not that high on it. So I'm like, hell yeah. And I think because of how hard he is being pushed, I'm like, well damn, they might actually put him in that match. He might win that title. Um but yeah, I did have some issues with the match itself, um, because it involves like MJF's fuckery, and I think he should have just had a clean win over Kevin Knight. Like,
Yeah.
why? We didn't need to protect Kevin Knight that much, and
Mm.
especially with how tired that kind of is of. I know that's the heel tactic of heel cheat to win, but obviously MJF does it so much that it's like predictable to an extent that it was like we could have just had a clean, decisive win there.
Yeah.
And Kevin
Yeah.
Knight would have still looked strong. So that part I wasn't that much of a fan of, but there we go.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So like we started with MJF patronizing Kevin Knight and like doing arm drag and being like, that's called an arm drag. And then Kevin Knight fought back with like his own arm drags and basically MJF thought he was teaching him how to wrestle, but it was essentially the other way around. And then Kevin Knight hit like five arm drags in a row. Um, and then he went for the UFO and MJF moved out of the way and the cockiness started all over again. He was using the kitchen sink to cut off Kevin Knight whenever he got any momentum. Um, but essentially that was the story of the match, like MJF countering the UFO, which I actually thought worked quite well. They had quite an entertaining fish out of water sequence. Kevin was holding his own and like looking like a valid contender. So if it was like exactly like Estelle says, if it was just a clean win for MJF, he wouldn't have looked weak for it. But essentially what they did was Knight hit like a coast to coast, and then he went up for the UFO. Bryce Remsburg, being Bryce Remsburg, was making a huge song and dance about counting him on the ropes, being like, 1, 2, and it's like you don't ever do. When has a referee ever done that? When a wrestler, I'm sorry, if I could be wrong, right? But I'm sorry, I don't think I've ever seen this. When a wrestler goes up to the top rope to do a move, and the referee starts counting them, like, get down from there. I was like, Bryce, what the hell are you doing? Making it super obvious that some sort of ref bump was about to happen. Sure enough, MJF kicked him, and Remsburg went dramatically falling like into the ropes. And Knight hit the UFO, but then obviously Remsburg was down. The super dramatic slow count for the near fall. I just thought that was so over egged and so overdone. Um, and then he hit the UFO again, but MJF got the knees up, and then he hit the Heat Seeker for the win. So it's like, it's Knight repeatedly going for the UFO. MJF has a different answer for it every time, which, yes, that works as a story, and I don't have anything against that, but I just think it just wasn't necessary. This whole ref spot, wasn't a fan of it. I found it quite overthought and quite convoluted for no reason.
Yeah. The match itself, though, was absolutely
It was
fantastic.
an
I mean,
entertaining
and
match.
and it had a really the crowd was on fire, awesome crowd. I mean, the crowd's past few weeks have been sick as well. Every time I think because every time it cuts to the crowd, I can't see a crowd member without a pint of beer in the hand. So I think that
Yeah.
might be why a bit of merry. But yeah, I mean, there was no ad breaks or 1 minute 30 seconds of ads, if that. So I think that added to the feel. You got this fired up crowd. You've got Kevin Knight on top form. You've got MJF. You've got a compelling enough story even before the ref bump, as you say, with cutting out the high flying, the kitchen sink, the open spot of the arm drags. Like I said, the promos going into this have been quite entertaining. Kevin Knight's got a hell of a lot of momentum behind him, and MJF's underestimating him, which is always a really fun dynamic to see. But yeah, it just took it one step. It was a big match, and it's like I'm all for you pushing Kevin Knight, and as well, like for me, I know like I took an issue with Megan Bain's super push, but for me, I don't like when someone comes into a company and they get a mega push. Unless this person is already established somewhere else. Then if it was like Okada and it's like, whoa, pushing Okada a bit too hard, he's new. It's like, no, he's fucking Okada. But
Yeah.
when it's someone completely new and they're kind of taking someone else's place just because they're big or they're tall or their nepo baby. It just rubs me up the wrong way, and I'm like a petulant child. I'm like, no, fuck you. I won't do what you tell me. But like with Kevin Knight, obviously it's been a very organic. He's organically gotten over. We've grown with him through Jet Speed,
Yeah,
so it's a different story. So I can totally get
100%.
behind him having a strong push. And as I said in the last podcast, I think that's fun. It's fun that there isn't really a ceiling for the mid card. There isn't really a ceiling for the tag division. It makes it more natural, more fluid, more who's going to come out, who's going to do this, and it's not so forced.
Hmm.
When there's like open challenges and you know some mid carder randomly gets pushed, it's like, oh, like wins and losses actually matter and da da
Yeah.
da. Uh, but yeah, like I say, and as you say, it was just one step too far because now it just keeps that thread going of like, oh, well, Kevin Knight, oh, he's got a stick, and it's like we've already got so many other fuckers with the ticket in the hat, as it were, Kenny Omega, Swerve Strickland, Will Ospreay when it comes. But why do we need Kevin Knight? I'm all right for a bit of Kevin Knight just to as a trial run. How is he hanging with the big dogs, with the
A
with the
little
big
Kevin
boys?
Knight as a
What's
treat.
handling there? Yeah, absolutely. Um, but they were just doing the most, and that's where it gets a bit off-putting, I think,
Yeah,
personally.
I agree because the story is already a little, I don't want to say challenging to follow, but I can't think of a better word. There's a lot of stuff going on, essentially, is what I mean. And so when you're adding another story beat to that of like, well, Kevin Knight, MJF couldn't beat him clean, so oh wow. It's like, oh, another thing that I have to try and remember, and that's gonna come round at some point. I mean, like like we've said multiple times, it's nice to have different threads and it's not black and white, it's not heel versus one versus one feud, what have you. Yeah, 100%. But yeah, I personally didn't need this. I was just like, I know we're gonna have MJF versus Hangman. I'm not daft. I'll sit here and be entertained by the match and like try not to overthink it, but it, I've just found it a little confusing, a little bit like a last minute addition to the story, like an afterthought. Oh, we'll just stick a Kevin Knight title match in there, um, which
But then
I
I
just didn't fully
think,
get it.
but then also like it does make sense because like it's Jet Speed Rodeo in it, and so like
True.
Kevin Knight
Yeah.
has that close affiliation with Hangman because obviously Hangman came out after, um, and they had another interference in the second main event of the night, the last match of the night. So there's also that kind of crinkle which I think allows you to fold in Kevin Knight. As I said, I don't have any issue with folding him in at this late and having this like almost buffer match before because like I say, I'm not really into MJF Hangman and I just feel like what more is there to really say? You're a coward. No, you're
Oh,
a coward.
so
I'd rather
that
have
is
this
so true,
than
actually.
another you're a coward segment.
So fucking true.
Um, but I also was thinking, is this like Tony Khan doing his long-term booking thing of, oh, well, I'll pluck Kevin Knight out and maybe he won't throw him into the mix and maybe it'll be the case of like 2 years later, a year down the line, I've
Mm.
got your number. But it's like, that's also like, how many times do we have to kind of do that? I still think it's redundant and I still think Kevin Knight could come back for MJF without that. And I feel like it'd be more compelling if Kevin Knight came back and was like, I couldn't beat you back then. I was starting out, I was young, I was too
Naive.
ambitious, naive, yeah. That's also compelling. I still don't think that's a good enough reason to have given MJF the unclean win over
Hmm.
Kevin Knight. And that's my only issue with it,
Yeah.
really, is that.
And you are completely valid in your opinion, even though you're wrong. No, I'm joking. This is why it's better to have a podcast. I was just thinking this when you were saying that, like, it's so much better to have a podcast with two people talking rather than one person because we get the balance for you on it. After that, we had the newly named the dogs, which
Oh my God.
just makes me
The
think of
fucking
feet.
dogs. And then he comes, he comes out and he's crawling on the floor again like a 2K weird preset, like make a wrestler for your superstar. And there's like some weird ass walking presets. That'd be like the spooky character one. What the hell? He
Yeah,
needs to come out with Tekla and he needs to wear like a spider outfit.
I was literally just thinking that. My
Yeah.
brain went to the exact same place. Like, yeah, Tetler can do the other way around walking, and he can do his old fours. They'd be perfect. Um,
It's giving
yeah.
my sleep paralysis demon.
Oh my God, yeah. So yeah, Clark Connors and Gabe Kidd, if you've not already gathered that based on the All Fours stuff. Versus Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin, who went on the jump start on Connors and Kidd doing their entrance, but luckily Kidd saw him coming and wasn't on All Fours at the time. They were brawling before the bell even started. Um, they had like the steel steps, using that as like a weapon, and then um I didn't even write down who it was. I believe it was Orange Cassidy got speared through the timekeeper's desk, sort of like off the steel steps, which was a pretty cool spot. Um, and then eventually we got Darby Allin and Gabe Kidd in the ring to start the match. Um, Pretty slow. I mean, not slow, sorry, pretty short match. So, it was pretty fast offense. Like they were rushing through the motions, and considering like the amount of build that this match had last week and like the intensity, I mean, they literally kidnapped Darby Allin. I'm never gonna let that go. Um, it was over pretty snappy. So we had like sort of a bit of Orange Cassidy doing his lucha style stuff when he does that. Then Darby Allin did a coffin drop to the outside, and then Clark Connors got orange punched for the win. And I was like,
Orange bunched.
it's one of those things that outside of wrestling sounds so stupid, but makes perfect sense in context. But yeah, and that was it. That was the end of the match. I was like, oh, well, that was short. Okay. But then we had David Finlay on the attack afterwards.
In our year of the Lord 2026. We really
Yeah.
are getting the scraps of New Japan here. My God, it's like when I don't eat meat, but it's like when you're cutting off the meat off an animal and you get like the breast, you get the sirloin, you get your Okada, you get your Will Ospreay, and then you get to I don't know what's it called? What's the medium one?
The medium what?
Like the medium cut of meat.
Oh,
You get your
I
wing,
mean,
you get your arm, you get like
two
I don't know.
two veggies, and you picked the wrong metaphor.
Yeah, like
Like
you get a bit of Ishii, you get a bit of potentially Gabe Kidd on a good day, and then you get your rump. You get your hot dogs, you get your lips and arseholes, and this is when we get the shit
You're
cut.
awful.
Yeah, your Mackey's chicken nuggets, which is just
Wait,
pink
this is
mush.
this is hilarious because, like, I swear it sounded like you were talking about a cow, but you also said breast, so that sounded like a chicken. Like it's just chicken
It's
nuggets.
like a griffin.
What are we talking about? Yeah,
I don't
well,
know,
I
but
don't
point
know.
being, auraless man David Finlay arrives in
Yeah,
AEW to
yeah.
cricket. You've got the most loud crowd ever, and the match was fucking sick. I loved it. I thought it was fun. That's what I would say. This match, fun, dopamine, great time, loved it. Fight forever. Later on, Orange Cassidy's like, we'll just keep doing the fighting, and we'll fight again. And normally it's like. But I'm down to watch these people fight forever because it is just highly entertaining. Like I say, I
Yeah,
think for a long time we were against it. It was like it's like amnesia. It's like Groundhog Day with Gabe Kidd and
yeah,
Darby Allin. But now I'm kind of in like this weird drug trip where I've just accepted my fate and I'm along for the ride, baby. I'm along for the acid trip ride that is Gabe Kidd
you're not
and Darby
resisting it
Allin,
anymore.
and now David Finlay apparently.
Yeah, apparently so. Uh,
He's
I
not that bad,
just
but it's just funny, and then just the crowd
well,
reaction of just clap if you care.
that's exactly it. Yeah, it was an exciting match, like adrenaline rush match, and then it was, oh, this guy, okay, cool.
Get a load of this guy.
Yeah, didn't really match the energy, and I just, yeah, I didn't really care. So just felt like it's just very 50-50 booking. So it's like, yeah, Connor, Connors and Kidd lost the match extremely cleanly, but they got the attack on afterwards. So who's really got the upper hand? It's just like very 50-50. So okay, fine. You wanna continue the feud until Revolution. I get it. Fine. Fine. Um, Next up, Bandido was backstage with Renee saying, "Oh, I'm so excited to wrestle Andrade. I grew up watching him in Mexico." And Andrade says, very patronizingly, "Oh, I don't know if you want to fight or if you want a selfie." And then asks Renee if she wants a selfie. So I thought this was very simple but effective. Just Andrade being a cocky little shit. And Bandido being sincere and being like relatable and Andrade is shitting on his face. I liked it. I liked it. So the match after that was certainly interesting and certainly interesting with two eyes. The Brawling Birds, Jamie Hayter and Alex Windsor versus
Oh,
the
I love
Inspiration.
I was so happy I love the inspiration. Like it just kept warming my heart every time they did that little pose, and just to
Yeah.
see him again, like they were done so dirty, so dirty. I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you, and it's they've gone away. I know Peyton had some kids. I don't know whether Billy Kay did.
Yeah, they both had kids.
Maybe she did. They're both, yeah, they're both MILFs. Billy Kay, lovely blonde hair. It's so wrong, but it's so right at the same time. Wow, I love these women. And hell yeah, more camp, more camp. We need it for the women's tag division. And it's like, yeah, if you thought we hated these brawling bloody birds before, call me an angry bird who's launching at them because what the hell, man? You give me the inspiration. I'm feeling inspired
Inspired.
with two eyes, and here come these dickheads, and these are supposed to be the faces, and they just cut them down. And I get that's so AEW that, oh, well, when you first start in AEW, kids, you gotta work your way up to the top. Like, unless you're Megan Bayne, apparently. What? Why can't they have Megan Bayne treatment? Oh, it's ridiculous. But fair enough. I get that. I get that. But it was just extra salt on the wound that it had to be these two.
Yeah,
All right, love, go to bloody Weatherspoons, had a pint, had curry Wednesdays, and I'm a brawling bird, me.
fish and chips
Whoa,
on
like
Tuesday.
I can't, I can't. I'm becoming Australian. I'm patriotic towards Australia.
Yeah, Aussie, 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 am I right? Shout out to the person in the comments as well who was like, I feel the same when people stereotype people from Texas because we don't all walk around like on horses and with cow print and cowboy hats on and stuff. Exactly, exactly, you get it. But yeah, so essentially the inspiration were being annoying and obnoxious. They were like dancing to their entrance music. By the way, fun fact, apparently Harley Cameron sings their entrance music.
Oh, nice.
Isn't that a fun fact? But yeah, and they made them restart the entrance music. They weren't done having their moment, and then they got attacked from behind by the disgusting brawling birds, cheap shotting them and hitting them with two birds, one stone for the win. I was I was shocked. I was like,
I
I
was gooped. I was gagged. I was shooketh.
I really was. I really was because why? I mean, why? That's just the question. I don't understand why you wouldn't at least
Why?
let the inspiration get something in. Or even put them up against a jobber team so they can get something in. And like you said, yeah, I get it. You come into AEW and it's not like usually, but this rule does not apply to everyone. Cough, Megan Bayne. You have to work your way up and you get knocked down a few pegs. Yeah,
I get
oh
knocked
man.
down, but I get up again.
I just felt like they just made them look really like annoying and shit in the ring. And I was just like, does this really benefit anyone? Has this benefited anyone?
Yeah,
I don't think
yeah.
it has.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. It was a choice, but we gotta push the brawling birds
we're gonna push them all the way to Wembley.
to the
That's the
moon,
plan.
baby. Belt them up.
Well, I mean, that's clearly where we're headed, I feel. But what I will say is it's good that the tag division is getting another team, like a very coherent tag team, and literally the Inspiration have been together since they were in high school. They've never broke
The
up, never had a
Inspiration
feud,
versus Tony Storm and Mina Shirakawa.
and that will bang.
Guys, are you ready for that?
It's right there. It's literally right there. Let's just pull the fucking trigger and do it. But no, we gotta enjoy the brawling birds and the aggressive Britishness. Oh well, we'll get there eventually. Up next, speaking of short matches and essentially a squash match, we had another one. Hangman squashed a jobber whose name was Marty
At
Snow.
least this was a proper. His name was what?
Marty Snow.
Oh, lovely. At least this was a proper squash match, though. I don't know if Tony can't listen to the podcast last week, but I appreciated they actually decked him. It was very fun. Goldberg style match
There
over
were
in
no
seven
messing around.
seconds.
Yeah, no messing around at all. He hit him with the buckshot and that with that. All right, yeah. I'm not gonna complain because I would sound like a hypocrite after what we said last week. So yeah, you're right. At least it was a proper squash. Um, Hangman then obviously the whole point of this mainly was for him to get on the microphone and said, Max, for years you scoffed at me for having a basic human conscience, but in Texas Death, I don't have a conscience. I'm gonna rip you and tear you, and I'll only let you lie when I'm finished with you. Uh, MJF said, well, don't make me come down there and whoop your ass 'cause I'm sick of hearing you talking. And Hangman's like, well, you ain't gonna do shit. And then suddenly he was jumped from behind by Mac Davis, Okada, and Kyle Fletcher. So they appeared out of absolutely nowhere. And so they beat down him for a bit. Jet Speed came down for the save. And Don Callis appeared. He called them three entitled millennial punks, which got a pop from me. That was pretty funny. And said that he hates greedy guys. And he's like, "Why do you need Why do you want two championships, Hangman? You're you're a bloody greedy asshole." Obviously, hilariously hypocritical. And very ironic. And yeah, basically said, "Oh well, you said you'd defend the trios titles anywhere and anytime, so why not tonight in the main event?" So yeah, we had like a main event lined up there, like roughly just before halfway through the show. So yeah, it was going to be Davis, Okada, and Fletcher versus what are they calling themselves? Not Horsecock. What's their official title?
Jet Speed Rodeo.
Yeah, them. So you're just like, oh well, that was a bit unexpected. All right. I'm entertained by this. Catch me off guard with a match that sounds like it's going to be a banger. All right. Did you have any any thoughts about that?
No,
No.
not
It was
really.
it was pretty non-offensive. It was pretty non-offensive. Um, so then it was a segment up next that was like a pre-tape. So backstage in some sort of like it reminded me of a seminar room when you were like at university and you got together and did a seminar in a little room with like a TV on the wall. Um, Renee was sat there with the Young Bucks and FTR were late and they came in. It was just again, it's Big Stoke on the wheelchair. It cracks me up every time. Um, FTR were basically like, oh well, what I did to your family was self-defense and hilarious, and it was just quite funny this to me because they're meant to be having quite an intense talking segment. And obviously, the Bucks are fuming at them because they've attacked their family, but they sat really close to each other in, like I said, this seminar room, and you're just like, in any other facet of life, when would this ever happen? Like the Young Bucks have every right to be furious at these two, but they just sat down at a desk together talking about it. I don't know. Just made me laugh. But then I did think that Matt upped the intensity very appropriately, and he was like, "I'm taking everything in me not to reach over this table and beat the shit out of you." And they got pretty intense, but like Renee was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa," and they didn't come to blows. But then the cameraman, who I believe was called Brandon, took a bump, which was pretty hilarious. So that was that. I didn't hate it. It didn't change my life. That's it really. I don't
It's
know.
fine.
It was fine. It was fine. And I think it's just like we talked about last week, this match is gonna be good. They've turned it into a personal feud, which is always nice, and it's not just like we're the best tag team in the world. No, we are, or it's not just about the like championships or something. It's gone personal, and that's good. And it's always got that little bit of humor with Big Stoke as well. So it's working all right. They're making it work. And and then we had another John Moxley match. So I'm really enjoying seeing him wrestle week on week, defending his Continental Championship. And Renee did her two-camera piece, and she sort of explained that she's chatted to the Don Callis family and or Don Callis, I think she said that Moxley's like keenness to wrestle every like 365 days out of the year if he could is giving Don Callis and Takeshita all the information that they need to defeat him at Revolution for the championship, which I like that little story beat. I think that was good, and it sort of justifies why Moxley
But
is wrestling every single week.
but but then also to Renee's point, like, yeah, Takeshita has that advantage, but then you could also argue Mox has an advantage because he has greater endurance, greater stamina. He's used to wrestling more frequently, week on week, these long matches. He's conditioned to a wide range of opponents. And as I say, he's gained a degree of endurance from that. So,
Yeah, that's a very good point. That's a very good point, yeah. So I think yeah, they're laying it out and they're making it work. So yeah, we had John Moxley versus Hechicero here. So it was a entertaining match, and again they approached it sort of in a different way. Like every John Moxley match, I feel it is different. I know that sounds stupid. Obviously, every wrestling match is different, but what I mean is like he approaches every match in a different way and tells a unique story each time rather than wrestling the same style. Um, so it was very. I felt like actually for the most part it was very technical and counter based. Um, Smooth mat wrestling. I thought it was Moxley doing what he does best, which is make wrestling seem real. And that's that is probably like his top strength, in
did you
my
not want to
opinion.
start shouting, Hechicero, Hechicero?
Oh my God, no. The urge did not overcome me in this one. But
I love that that chant has not made it over to America.
yeah, what it was just so bizarre that why was he everyone loved him in Manchester. What was that
I think
about?
it's to be edgy. I'm not saying like Hechicero is a bad wrestler because he's not. I quite enjoy him, but you know, it's just like a hipster edge lord thing of like my favorite wrestlers Hechicero. Oh, have you seen his match from this niche wrestling company?
Oh,
Like,
he's so underrated. AEW aren't using him right.
yeah, I'm sorry, it just so
Hechicero.
is. Hechicero. It's like it goes right through me.
You will need to go watch our holiday bash vlog if you have no idea what the fuck we're going on about. It'll give you all the answers.
Aye.
You look like you're about to say something, but yeah, she's
No,
yawning.
just yawning.
She's
Just
yawning.
yawning.
Um, so Edgisaro had a lot of near falls in this. I thought he looked really good. Like, yeah, I know we've just slagged him off, but yeah, he's a good wrestler. Not gonna deny the fact that he's a good wrestler. And yeah, it was again like most of Moxley's like matches like this. It was back and forth, and it was Hechicero like trying to get Moxley to submit, but we all know how resilient Moxley is, and um, he set up a paradigm shift, but Hechicero countered it for a really near fall, and then um, Moxley hit the stomp, and they flipped each other off. Like Sarah was resilient till the very end, and then Moxley hit the Death Rider for the win. So again, it was like Moxley having to adapt to a difficult challenge and showing that I guess like every week he's getting better, but he's also facing up to a really big challenge. So it does make you question, like we said at the start, like is he going to be bested by Takeshita or not? Like has he got that endurance to beat him, or is Takeshita just picking up more that he can use against Moxley? So I think this is one of the matches I'm most looking forward to for the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I think could easily be the match of the night, the sleeper match that, you know, is on everyone's mind. I think there's the really exciting matches, the Texas Death Match, which will obviously have a lot of flashy spots, you would imagine. But I think this has it in the bag to be a technical masterpiece, potentially match of the year. Like really, with like the streak Mox is on and how good Mox and Takeshita was previously, I have very high expectations for this, and this is my type of thing. Like I love a long match that gets to go into multiple gears and the ring psychology that we'll get through it, and an injury being worked over, and the stories that can be told in the amount of time, and just how competent Mox is with having that amount of time. Some wrestlers, there's too much time, and you think, God, you could shave a bit off there.
Hmm.
Uh, but knowing Mox, knowing his angle, being able to see Takeshita, and how he'll kind of tackle it as well. As I said, the last matches it wasn't like, oh, I feel like I'm one and done with that. It's like, no, I want more. So really looking forward to this.
Yeah, me too. I hope they can live up to the expectations because sometimes that is difficult to do, but totally agree with you. Yeah, I'm very excited for that one.
Absolutely. So moving on from that, we had Tony Schiavone on comms, and he was kind of introducing the fact that there'll be the two main events coming up. So you're kind of apprehending that, apprehensively waiting for that, not apprehending it. That makes
I
no
wasn't even
sense.
going to question it. I was like, yeah, makes perfect sense.
Makes perfect sense. But Brody King abruptly interrupts the broadcast. He says, "Swerve, I can be like you, mate. I can jump on a commentary desk and say that this was comedic to me, because again it's kind of that campness of you're the coward, no, you're the coward, and then this dick measuring contest, it was I'm the most dangerous man, no, I'm the most dangerous man. Like, shut the
Yeah.
fuck up. But yeah, I'm dangerous. You go around saying how dangerous you are. I need to do that. Like, just come here and I'll show you how dangerous I am. Oh well, he got his ass whooped, didn't he? Nana was like, "Are you sure?" This was pure panto. Are you really sure? Like, obviously, Swerve's coming from behind, which he did with a chain to the back of Brody King's head, and then a really nasty house call. Like, his neck was oh, awful. And they started choking him out with the chain, hanging him. Brody, I think Brody looked pretty good in this though. Like, he got a swipe in at Swerve. It was almost like, you know, lynching the giant. He didn't look weak. I didn't think the way he was angled, like it didn't look like he was being choked though. It looked like, 'cause he was kind of like just sat down. I was like, mate, if you
Sure.
just moved your head, you won't be being you won't be being choked. But maybe that's like to do with the camera angle as well. Swerve's like, I had to send a message to Kenny. Now I've had to do it to Brody. You're all on notice. Um, and he's like, I'll come whoop your ass at Revolution. So yeah, I'm fine with this. I'm fine with the prospect of them fighting. I'm fine with, although it's ridiculous to me. Oh, I'm dangerous. No,
Yeah.
no, I'm dangerous. Like, it's a bit ridiculous prospect, but okay, these two characters are really interesting. I'm glad Brody King's still kind of within rotation of that main event scene, even if he's not for the title. Like, he's kind of at least still, like, he hasn't lost momentum, which is nice. Swerve looked pretty good in this. Nana looked good in this. So yeah, be a good program hopefully.
Yeah, yeah, and I agree that the premise of them arguing essentially over like a tagline is a bit daft. But it's very male ego, isn't it? Like fragile male ego. Like, no, it's I'm dangerous. I'm more dangerous than you. And I think hopefully that it sets up quite a like a I'm trying to think of a different word than dangerous because we've said it so many times. It's the only word that's echoing around my head. A violent match, like or
That's
extreme
the
match.
only way it can be settled, isn't it? Is a
Exactly.
violent match, and I'm like, Revolution's shaping up to be quite violent, and how's that going to work?
Mm,
Because surely whatever's cooking with Darby and Gabe Kidd, that's going to be violent. And
yeah.
then this has to be violent by nature of the premise of who is the most dangerous. Then you've got the
Yeah.
Texas Death Match. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying you can have too much violence, but it's like it'd be interesting to see kind of how they're going to go about that.
Yeah. Yeah, because you want it done in different ways so it's not repetitive. So like one might have a lot of blood and a lot of, I don't know, like thumbtacks or glass or something. One might be a bit more like visceral. I don't know. So yeah, 100. I thought the exact same thing. There's quite a lot of emphasis on going in on heavy violence on these matches, but yeah, we'll see how I'm sure they'll make it work. But I'm excited to see these two go at it. I think it'll be interesting, especially because Brody King's obviously like this big guy, and yeah, I'm here for it.
The big dog. And then I forgot to mention that our favorite babe, Bandido, came out to make the save, and Swerve was like, "I hung a man in LA too," you know. He's
Yeah,
and again, it's like you were saying about like him kind of falling into what Hangman is, which I guess it's kind of twisted to what I thought it was going to be because I thought Swerve was going to be the one to corrupt Hangman, but instead it's like Swerve's been corrupted, which I do
yeah,
think not to like big my ideas up yet again, but I do think that I'm happy Swerve is heel, so I'm not complaining that much. And I think if that's how we've got to it, it's how we've got to it. But I think that's fine for Swerve because Swerve's just going to eat up being a heel irregardless. But
yeah.
for Hangman, it just makes him very flat and very one dimensional.
Mm,
And again, it like adds to like the ick or like the lack of like feeling I have towards him right now because it's just like, oh, he's such a cool baby face. He's
mm,
so good. And it's like there's no nuance anymore. It's like the nuance has kind of been like flattened out. And I feel like that was the way he kind of explored that. But I feel like they kind of got to a point with him where it was like, oh, we've been down this route so many times of he's kind of flip flopping between neutrality and like losing his mind, and maybe they were like, we need to kind of step out of that and pick a lane, and we've picked the
mm,
babyface lane, especially to go against Max and for it to be
yeah,
less convoluted, but which I think is fine in the short term. You've helped to make your work easy for your short term, but long term. But I guess it's also like a time will tell because we're not really going to have the answers to the direction of his character, I feel like, until we see what happens in Texas Death
yeah.
and
Right.
until we kind of see the outcome of that and whether he wins or whether he can never challenge again. Because, maybe there is still room for his deterioration and we
Mm.
just get Swerve and Hangman being two brats together, which is my ultimate dream.
Yeah.
But yeah, as for right now, it's like, okay, I wouldn't have done it that way, but okay, let's see how your way goes, Tony Khan.
I think that maybe Tony Khan and or Hangman perhaps think that Hangman like having this Texas death match is him having nuance, like, oh, that's his dark side. I, oh yeah, he's a babyface, but look how twisted and violent he is. Do you know what I mean?
I need a lot from it then because I feel like that's fair and I get that, but we've done the Texas death a lot, which is
Yeah.
my point.
Yeah.
We've done it a lot and we've done the same thing of
100%.
oh, and now he's lynching someone. And it's like how far can they realistically take it? I know you're saying like you have faith in it and you're like, yeah, I think they'll pull something out of the
Mm,
bag.
mm,
Like something inventive, like some inventive
thinking,
spot,
yeah.
but I'm just I'm happy to be proved wrong. I'm happy to be proved wrong. I'm
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, damn it, that was a really good wrestling match, and oh,
Mm.
the character development was so good. I want that,
God
but I'm
damn it.
just like going into it a bit like
A
it's
little.
not filling. I'm not filled with confidence. I'm not filled with hope with how it's been handled so far. But Swerve is all right, and that's the main fucking thing.
Exactly. That's our main concern. And he's all
Exactly.
good.
Then we go backstage to the Death Riders, who kind of took it in turns to say their little speechy speech. Daniel Garcia, oh yeah, see what we just did? That is what we do. We win every week. We had Yuta's second hair reveal. The miseries of being bald. Marina had some choice words for Tony. Mox is like, ain't nobody doing it like us. Takeshita, I'm gonna come for you and we're gonna see it through till the end. Revolution. So it was very like concise to like the Death Riders goals and like what each character is doing. But I had a thought, um, and it was actually during Collision about the Death Riders and Callis family feud. And I remembered like months ago, me and you were saying, "Oh, wouldn't it be really cool?" Because at the time, the the factions in AEW were quite insular and they didn't really interact with each other. And we had like several heel factions at once. And we were like, wouldn't it be really cool if like the Death Riders interacted with the Callis family? And I'm like, well, that's happening now. So why am I not
Mm.
that into it? And I'm like, it's because of this iteration of the Death Riders. And there's nothing. I'm not saying this iteration of the Death Riders is less cool than when Mox was champion. If anything, they kind of are more cooler because they have a bit more about them, and I kind of like, especially this quadrant. I think this works better than I think when Claudio's there and Pac's there. It has a different flavor, which is more to what it was originally. And I think this flavor is kind of what they want to keep going with and what they should focus with going forward because it just works for me personally. But because they're more compelling as a group doesn't mean they're more compelling to see you go against the Callis family because the whole point was at the time like right now the the Death Riders are more an underdog faction group whereas back then they were quite dominant, and so I think that's why to me it just doesn't have like the kick that I was kind of hoping it would
Mm.
have, or like it's not really, it's just like repeated matches and just a bit repetitive and a bit. I mean, obviously, there's some cool stuff coming out of it. Absolutely, like Takeshita and Mox is sick. That is the cherry on the cake. But it's more about that than like it would have been really cool to see this faction war, but and like egos clash. But now Mox doesn't really seem like he has as high of an ego as he had before, and the Death Riders, by proxy of that, kind of not that they feel less dangerous, but it's like it's that underdog root ability, and so
Mm.
then you just get that typical face versus heel
Yeah.
dynamic, which is not as compelling as what it would have been before. So those are just my reflections on why how I
Yeah.
feel about it, really.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think as well because I guess it's not really been faction on faction action. But you know what I mean? Like it's been
Oh, they've had like mixed tags though, and like tags and stuff.
I guess. I guess that
Ever on Collision.
it's not really I guess I've not found it that remarkable, so it's not sticking in my brain. So yeah, it's it's a fair point that you raised. And I think you're right because of just this iteration of the Death Riders. It's just not as tasty as when they were a little bit more complex. But I like people cheering them, so on a shallow level, I'm happy about that.
Me too. Me too. That's what I think. The Death Riders now are better, but
Mm,
it's not as compelling seeing them go against the Callis family as it would have
yeah,
been had we seen them duke it out in their prime.
yeah, damn right.
Like that would have been really cool because you really wouldn't know who would come out on top.
Yeah.
Um, I always find it interesting when two heels go against each other because, like, in Mox's mind then and now, but especially back then, it was about the purity of wrestling and almost this cult like figure of believing he can,
Yeah.
he's like a messiah, he can save wrestling. Whereas Callus's interests are way more self invested and
Yeah.
way more about
So
just
true.
winning championships and making money and having a little gang of boys that he leads. You know, it's a totally different kettle of fish. So I think seeing those two interests come to a head is more interesting. But because his whole saving wrestling thing is kind of in the past now, it's like what do they represent? And what they represent is more typical of we are face, we are underdogs, we are fighting, you know, and that's very compelling. And it's like, yeah, it's nice to see him be cheered, but that's not as compelling. That's just
Yeah.
typical wrestling shtick. We had our first of the double build main events. This was Thunder Rosa. This is Tekla. Now I am not a Thunder Rosa lover. I'm quite vocal about that, but I did really enjoy this match. I thought it was solid. For multiple reasons. I love Tekla's confidence and the contrast to that with the previous champion Stat. And that's not to dunk on Stat because I actually found Stat being a bit insecure as champion and kind of not having a high sense of self-esteem, and then watching her build that really compelling, and I really liked that. But I also like the fact that we've got a new contrasting champion that is full of confidence. You
Yeah.
know, that's really fun to see. We had Thunder Rosa aggressive out of the gate, nasty slap to the face, and then slamming Tekla into the turnbuckles multiple times. This was a match that was wrestled in really close proximity as well. They were on top of each other the whole time, like wild animals. Even the finish with the dual stomps, there was just very little time of them not being in contact with one another.
Yeah, yeah.
We then had the Sisters of Sin coming down, Tekla celebrating a win. Stat came down, she was looking badass. We had the stare down, then 100 security just coming in. Like, really? That was a bit
What?
overkill.
Yeah. Well, what was the reason?
What was the reason? Then we had the third curb stomp on Thunder Rosa, just because. And Tekla breaks away before Stat can come into contact with her. The toxic era is now. I really enjoyed this. All of it. I enjoyed the match. I know we said it's a bit awkward, like this whole premise. Um, they're really struggling with premises at the minute, I feel like, of why people are fighting. Like, they really want a match to happen because it's going to bang, and it does bang, but it's like, I'm going to fight for you, and I'm the most dangerous man, and it's just lame. But the match is bang, so does it matter, really? I guess not. But I really enjoyed the match. I enjoyed Stat coming down. I enjoyed. I mean, Tekla made me laugh during her entrance because she comes out and she's like, ah, and then like you just cut like office style cut to the Sisters of Sin just stood there like NPC. It's so bad. Like just get Gabe Kid out there doing his spider move. Fuck me.
That's what we need. We need them to match each other's entrance walks. Uh,
Well, she's with
yeah,
that Clark Connors, isn't she? So make it happen.
yeah.
She's got contacts.
I was shocked by that. Um, but yeah, I mean, Tekla was aura farming all over the place. I mean, all over Thunder Rosa
She
as well.
was.
Um, the interesting part about this, I thought, was when Tekla hit the does she call it the spider spear or the spider walk spear or something where she does her upside down thing, then hits the spear, and then she went for the pin, but she pulled Thunder Rosa up as if she wasn't done with her, so like she could have won at that point, but didn't by choice. And but then Thunder Rosa fought back, and she actually hit her finish, which I thought was really interesting. Tekla kicked out, and then that's when, like you said, Tekla hit the two stomps. So like I found that quite interesting. Like her cockiness almost cost her, but it's like justified cockiness because she knew she was going to win anyway. Um, so yeah, like her arrogance allowed her to do even more damage in the end. So yeah, I guess I quite like the story as well that it's only Chris Statland's the only person who really understands how dangerous Tekla is, and other people are now finding that out firsthand. So yeah, it was good. It was good for what it was like, and you were never expecting like I guess like Thunder Rosa coming back from injury to put on the best match of the night. I did a good match, but it was genuinely like it was smooth, it was entertaining. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
Hell yeah. Then we had a video of Jack Perry saying about, I've pinned Ricochet a third time now. Every time it's counted, you've cheated to win. So, we have each other's numbers, but which ones really count? Ricochet's like a war you want, a war you got. 'Cause when you're in demand, you can make demands. Well, I have ADHD, so I have demand avoidance. So what does that mean for me? I do love that line though. Like, I might start using that at
That's
work.
it's actually hilarious. Yeah,
When you're
it's
in
it's very
demand,
good.
start making demands. Not say my full name, which he was popping off on Saturday. Shut the fuck up, Kyle Fletcher. Shut the fuck up. I hate that so much.
Imagine
Your
if you
name
did
is
that
Kyle
same
Fletcher.
around the
What are
office.
you on about? Yeah, I might
Say
just start
my
saying
full
wrestling.
name.
I'm the most dangerous woman in this office. And stand on a desk and just proclaim it.
You'd be quickly referred to HR, but I think you should do it to establish dominance. They can't fire you straight away. That would be discrimination. So go for it.
Absolutely. Then we had Renee with an interview out in the arena with Champa. My stream cut, so it was like, mm, 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 mm. It was like, oh hi Renee, blah blah blah. Like
Oh my
it
God,
just
no, the
randomly
same
come.
thing. I had the same thing, yeah.
I love his theme. It's so like I'm 40 years old. I've just divorced the kids. I just want to drive my truck and do some fishing. Like it's giving that.
In the woods.
Yeah, like I'm in the woods. I'm hunting. I'm at a dive bar. Like it's just like
Whiskey.
got such a specific vibe. It's so funny.
It really does.
But yeah. Like, you know those like images and it's like a skeleton riding a motorbike with like flames in the background on a t-shirt.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what this song gives. Like
100%. And
grilling in the summer.
drinking beer with my homies and grilling with my homies and watching football in the woods with my gun.
Oh, and it's my weekend with the kids. But yeah, he was talking to Renee and he was slagging off Carl Fletcher. And Renee's like, talk to me about your history with Matt Briscoe, and then cue someone who has a lot of history with Ciampa, FTR cutting in, which is wild in the year of 2026 to see these two together. Like, if you told little me watching Black and Gold NXT that this would happen one day, woof, I don't know.
What a
I mean, the
throwback.
prospect of AEW back then would just blow my tiny, tiny brain. Bald and hair, give him a hug. You want to be a top guy, you need to hang out with top guys, join FTR, which is wild. Because it's not like join the Callis family. It's a pretty big thing to say
It's quite
join FTR.
exclusive club, isn't it?
It really is. Champa, I hated your guts years ago. I still do. And then he insulted Big Stoke. He was like, shush, the adults are talking. Dax was triggered by that. We don't have a no contact clause like the Bucks, then just absolutely belts him, which was also quite funny. Dax was like, I'm not mad. See you at Collision.
Oh, yeah. I liked this. It made me laugh.
It's my new vocal sim.
It
I'm gonna
made me
play
laugh.
it when I walk into the office before I jump on the desk and I go, I'm the most dangerous woman in this office. Cue this
Say
music.
my full name. Yeah, it made me laugh, but not in a oh this is ridiculous or like I'm making fun of it kind of way. Like
No.
in a I'm yeah genuinely found it a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Then we had Tony Storm backstage with fucked up Orange Cassidy. Those guys want a fight, so we'll fight all the weeks. We'll fight all the weeks and all the days. And Tony versus Gabe Kidd. That's what we're vying for.
Yeah, book it, book it. They match each other's freak. It really popped me by the way
Uh,
when she called Orange Cassidy Little Clementine. I was like, oh, that's so cute.
Great duo. So then we get to the main event, which is the Trios titles match with Kyle Fletcher, Matt Davis, and Okada representing the Callis family against Jet Speed Rodeo. This didn't really have as much time. It was a more traditional TV main event because it had the main event structure, but I feel like the women's one was superior.
Yeah,
But yeah, this was very chaotic. Bodies everywhere. Everyone was on top form. Everyone felt like they were in a highlight reel. Like
yeah, yeah.
Hangman was on fire. He was still carrying that momentum from the the squash match. Super high energy. Kevin Knight took a lot of punishment, but this was very compelling because people are really behind him at the minute, and
It was impressive
for
that he
his
wrestled
match.
twice as well. Sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt
for his
you.
match earlier in the night, and then that led to a hot tag to Mike Bailey, who was I know I just keep seeing people on fire, but Mike Bailey, like I feel like he's kind of getting lost in the shuffle a bit at the moment. Just because of how things are kind of working out with Jet Speed Rodeo. You've got Hangman on one side, and then you've got Kevin Knight who's been pushed to the moon on the other. But Mike Bailey ain't letting you forget his name. My God.
Yeah, he's not
Uh,
getting lost in the shuffle as
showing,
soon as he gets in the ring. You're like,
yeah,
oh
just
yeah.
showing you just how good he is. He absolutely slimed the formatively known as Aussie Open. Hangman landed the lariat on Mark Davis, setting up for the buckshot. Knox was distracted by Okada, which led to a cheap shot by MJF on Hanger. The Rainmaker and the driver was then landed on Kevin for the pin, leading to the Kyle, Fletcher, Mark Davis, and Okada, uh, Aussie Kada victory. Yeah, and then what absolutely took me out for quite a comedic Dynamite was Lance Archer just spawning out of fucking nowhere
Hmm.
and just standing there. It was hilarious to me. He had his sunglasses on and he just spawned. And I'm like, what are you? How have you still? I don't want to say how have you still got a job because that's harsh. I do want him to have a job. He provides comedic value for me, and he's I'm like attached to him. But at the same time, how are you here? Why are you here?
What are you contributing? Yeah, and for such a big guy, it's impressive how he sometimes just appears. How have you snuck in?
It's
Um,
like the group presentation, and that one person that just sneaks in last minute to take the grade and made zero fucking contribution. Oh, I
mm,
Lance Archer. I mean, even fucking MJF when part Callie's family was one landing a blow in on Hangman. He did fuck all. Absolutely fuck all. But
yeah,
yeah, we
so,
got new champions. Clap if you care for the most irrelevant title in AEW. But it is quite exciting, like I said, the match was decided halfway through the night. We had it as the main event. As I said, the match itself was sick, and then we get a new champion, so it's exciting. And when the title means so little, you can afford to do that, I suppose.
yeah. I mean, I think it was the right decision because the belts I feel like they were meaningless when they were with Jet Set Rodeo because their attentions were elsewhere, so it became very much an afterthought. So it made them feel more important by having them change hands, like, oh shit, yeah, they exist. But I just feel like, well, we now have Okada and Fletcher, both double champions. So then they're falling into the background again because they're like secondary titles still. The belts are very concentrated on the same people still. You know what I mean? Like the championships within the roster are concentrated on a lot of the same people. So perhaps they could have gone to like different Don Callis family members. But then it's like, but Okada and Fletcher are two of the biggest stars, so it makes sense that they'd be champs. I don't know. It's you can't really win with it because, like you say, it's like irrelevant. They're irrelevant belts, so it's difficult to care. But ultimately, like in general, I do think that this was a good result.
Yeah, it's making chicken salad out of chicken shit, to use a loosey phrase. I still have the same opinions on the trios titles, and I can't be asked. I can't be asked to talk about it again. So you just have to listen back to previous podcast episodes. But I cannot be asked to go into it. Like talking about it, I'll annoy myself talking about it.
Yeah, fair
It's
enough.
unsafe for me to talk about this anymore. So yeah, most dangerous woman. Right, let's get into the ranking, scaling. What would you give it? I would land on a 9 myself, I think.
Gosh, a nine.
Why is that too high or too low?
In my opinion, is too high.
What? Look at you got four, if I'm not counting incorrectly, badass matches.
Yes, true.
What's not to love? What are you beefing with?
I'm I'm beefing with the stuff outlined in the first match, but I
Oh,
know we
that's not
disagreed about.
enough
I
to
know we disagreed
to
about
warrant it.
that. The main
Mm,
event was good,
mm.
but it was irrelevant belts. Yeah, maybe I'm being negative. I don't know because now that I'm trying
I
like,
think you're being a bit
a bit
harsh.
harsh,
Go on.
I think
Give
you're
it
very,
now.
very harsh.
Very, very harsh.
Yeah,
I
fine.
mean, the Brawling Birds versus the Inspiration, that is enough to
Oh
tank it
yes,
from a 10 to a 9, a 9.5 to a 9 even. Um,
yes,
but no,
that's
the
it.
wrestling was tight as fuck. Like I was so into it, and I think this week when I was watching it, I was just overwhelmed by how much was going on. I don't know if it's
There was
because
a lot
obviously it's a
going on.
weekday, it's a work day, I'm tired, my brain isn't working. But compared to last week where there wasn't a lot of plot, to this week where there was a fuck ton of plot
Mm.
and progression. I know it's not the go home show, but I was quite impressed with how everything developed along nicely. There was nothing this week where it meandered for me. Like everything progressed.
Yeah, that is true, actually. That is true. I feel like, yeah, perhaps I am being harsh. Perhaps I am being harsh. I mean, if it were me solo, I'd probably go lower, but I am a team player after all, and this is a team effort.
Wow.
So let's, yeah, I'm happy to settle on a 9. And that's the same as
All
last
right,
week.
9
We had a 9
out
last
of
week,
10.
9.5 the week
Yeah,
earlier.
we're on a
So
positive streak. Hopefully leading to a good pay per view. So we'll be reviewing that next week. I mean the go home show next week and our predictions. And then hopefully the pay per view the week after.
yeah,
And also
so
aiming to get our tickets for
oh,
All In.
nearly forgot about that. Yeah.
I believe the pre-sale is on the Monday, the 16th,
Yeah, I think you're right.
and general's
So
on Friday. So, I mean,
exciting.
I swear the past 2 years we've gotten them each, the past 3 years, obviously, because we've been to 3 events now, we've always got them on pre-sale. Well,
The
we get
first
scared.
the first year we didn't because it was quite a last minute decision to go. Um,
Was
but
it?
yeah, because we were like, oh, should we go? We were like, oh, yeah, let's go. I don't think that was pre-sale. I could be wrong though. But yeah, I think definitely the other years it was.
I think it was pre-sale though, but I think, or maybe that was the second time where we did a few pre-sales because we were indecisive about where we wanted to
Yeah,
be.
yeah, we've definitely had
I can't
that.
remember if that was the first or the second.
I think that was the second time because I feel like the first time we weren't particularly picky. We wanted to
Oh,
have like a central view,
we were
but
on the roof.
yeah, exactly. We were up there in the rafters. But yeah, if you want to see our Revolution review, which yes, you do, it's going to be amazing, and you want to hear our predictions and all that stuff, and you don't want to miss out on an episode of Too Sweet, then you have to subscribe or you have to follow us on Spotify to be able to do that. And if you leave us a like or you leave us a 5-star rating, it helps us to reach even more people. So please, please do, and let us know what you are thinking of AEW at the moment. Are you on a high? Are you feeling it? Let us know in the comments. We always love to read your opinions. So, yeah, thank you as ever for listening to the Too Sweet podcast, and we'll see you again very soon.
I must bid you adieu, goodbye, and good night, bad.
I wish you died in the womb!